And I'm your host, Jonasz Rewiński. So you may be wondering, what was this all about? A singing HIMARS and some Shiba Inu dogs? Well, let me explain. Ever since the war in Ukraine began, the response of internet users has been tremendous, and the clash of narratives over who is responsible for the conflict was almost as intense as the war itself. Later on, a particular breed of internet humor has emerged, with users from across the world forging an alliance of their own. Today, we dive deep into the meme war on Putin and his vatniks by certain fellas. And Edward Hunter Christie, former NATO official, shall join us to be our guide. Hello and welcome to TVP World.
Hello, thanks for having me.
So, of course, as a former member of NATO, you'll probably also be able to explain what is NAFO. That's a very different organization there, and there are many, many things to unwrap for those who are not familiar with this particular type of internet humor and comedy that we're seeing. So, for starters, who are the fellas?
Well, the Fellas, or NAFO or NAFO, is basically a decentralized voluntary collective of people who've decided to take the fight to the enemy in the rhetorical space, in the space of narratives and memes on social media, notably on Twitter, but not only. And they all have little mascots that are based on a particular breed of dog. And they have a lot of humor, and they challenge Russian propaganda. They challenge Russian officials when they make, which is often the case, when they make false or misleading statements. And this naturally generates memes of their own each time the Russians try to answer. So there was a very famous incident in which a Russian ambassador actually talked directly on Twitter to one of the fellas from NAFO.
Indeed,
and said,
I mean,
you pronounce this nonsense.
Yes,
not
this sparked this popularity. The mainstream recognition was Mikhail Ulyanov, who was known for spreading Russian propaganda, and he became entangled in a skirmish with the fellas and lost, apparently. And you've mentioned this phrase, you pronounced this nonsense, not me. I mean, this has become a classic, didn't it?
Exactly, indeed. And it's now a great favorite, not only of those who self-describe as fellas, but also of other experts and observers of what is going on in Ukraine and in the region. And it's become a favorite catchphrase.
Yes, and of course, it does have some more serious implications too, including fundraising, right?
Yes, so there is at root a connection with the Georgian Legion and fundraising for Georgian volunteers, as well as, generally speaking, encouraging other forms of fundraising to help the war effort in Ukraine.
And the response of the ambassador, because we've already mentioned that, he started to respond to all those people trying to undermine his narratives. He essentially broke one of the main rules of internet behavior. But also, this points towards quite a few things, right? So, for starters, Russian propaganda will only go as far if it is unchallenged. But this humorous way of actually debunking all these